Prestige Lincoln Mercury is having a super wagon sale. Up to $1,200 off, just what Mother needs.
Your mother?
Move her stuff in here.
Here?
A Bobcat Villager, great economy.
Is she bringing her barbells?
Right, she'll need a Zephyr wagon. I'll tell her to see Prestige today.
You're serious?
Yes, Mom can save up to $1,200 if she hurries to Prestige's wagon sale.
Why not a full-size Colony Park?
Good idea. Fred's moving in, too.
Her new boyfriend?
From Malamute.
Oh, boy. Prestige Lincoln Mercury's wagon sale. Better check it out today.
This is the 10 p.m. edition of News Center 11 for Sunday, March 11, 1979, with anchorman Stan Borman, Keith Eichner with the weather, Steve Pacenti on sports, and the News Center 11 reporting team.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Stan Borman. This is News Center 11, and here's what's happening tonight at 10 o'clock. An early morning fire in the city of Blaine, Minnesota, completely gutted 1/3 of the Blaine Elementary School shortly before 5 a.m. The area affected is normally used by first and second grade students at the school. Blaine is about 15 or 20 miles northwest of the city of Minneapolis. All classes have been canceled for Monday and Tuesday. Some of the students are being transferred to other schools in the area. News Center 11 reporter Sally Fitz went out to the scene this evening, and she files this report live in the studio tonight. Sally, what's it like?
The fire marshal told officials the fire apparently started in the ceiling of the oldest part of the building. It's a wood-supported ceiling and was built about 30 years ago. The fire marshal says that the weight of snow may have caused the wood ceiling to sag and the wiring conduits to break and short-circuit, thereby igniting the fire. But the superintendent of Blaine Schools, Carl Huber, says he doesn't buy that explanation, that it didn't look like there was much snow on the roof to him to cause the ceiling to sag. Huber says he believes faulty or old wiring in the building caused the fire. Tonight, we went out to the school and we talked to the business manager of the district, Edwin Munson, about what he thought caused the blaze. He said the fire marshal was out there earlier and looked at the fire, trying to find out what caused it, and there's some conflicting reports as to the cause of that fire. How did it come about?
As of yet, it's undetermined. We really don't know. The police department and fire department have been working on it since early this morning, and we have not a final report yet on it. At this point in time, we have not met with the fire marshal for the local community, who would be Ron Fagerstrom. We will be meeting with him. Right now, we have an immediate concern about getting the children back into school. It's my understanding from the building principal, Tom Ritchie, that the 9 rooms on this wing will be transported to Westwood Elementary School starting as early as Wednesday.
Once again, school has been called off for all Blaine Elementary School students tomorrow and Tuesday. Wednesday, 135 of them will go to the Westwood Elementary School, and the 3rd and 4th and 5th graders will return to Blaine. Superintendent Huber says that the Blaine building was just inspected 2 months ago and given a clean bill of health. Not given a clean bill of health was another school in Blaine, the Westwood Junior High School, which was built in 1972. It was found that that school does not meet fire standards, and the superintendent says it still doesn't. It does not have sufficient access to exits, and the corridors are not made of fire-resistant materials. Steps are being taken to correct those problems, but the work won't be finished until the end of the school year. By the way, that school, the junior high school, is connected to the elementary school, where the students displaced by this morning's fire are being transferred. Stan?
Okay, thank you very much, Sally. This just ended News Center 11. The Israeli cabinet just ended just moments ago its emergency session that lasted into dawn Monday as Israel time. Emerging from the meeting, which lasted over 6 hours, Prime Minister Menachem Begin declined to say exactly what decisions, if any, the cabinet made. Mr. Begin said a cabinet meeting with President Carter scheduled for later in the day has been moved back a few hours. Prior to the cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Menachem Begin declared grimly that serious problems still exist between the two nations. This came after Mr. Carter and Mr. Begin met for 6 hours today, and angry right-wing demonstrators tried to attack President Carter's motorcade. For a report on the events earlier today, here's NBC's John Dancy.
Prime Minister Begin was on hand to greet President Carter this morning when Mr. Carter arrived at the Prime Minister's office for negotiations. The meeting was to have lasted for 2 hours. Instead, it went on for more than 6, with the two sides pausing for lunch, then breaking up into separate delegation meetings. After one final meeting between Mr. Carter and Begin, the two sides adjourned, with Begin announcing the Israeli cabinet would meet tonight and President Carter giving this assessment.
We have not yet reached a final agreement. Important issues still remain to be resolved. All of us are dedicated to continue with our best efforts to reach success.
So certain issues concerning the peace treaty between us and Egypt will be clarified and decided upon by the cabinet during the nocturnal session, so that we will be able tomorrow to give replies on those certain issues to the president.
It had been a rough day, and it wasn't over. On the way to a state dinner tonight, right-wing demonstrators threw eggs and stones at a car which they thought was the president's. It wasn't, and the president arrived unharmed. But inside, when the toast began, Prime Minister Begin warned Mr. Carter that there are serious problems remaining.
But there are serious issues and difficult problems. This is what it is my duty to say at this juncture, at this moment. Hopefully, we shall overcome the difficulties and be able to sign a peace treaty, a real peace treaty between Egypt and Israel, as a first step towards a comprehensive settlement in the Middle East.
It's understood the major unresolved issues are whether Israel will be able to buy Egyptian oil at a preferential price, an exchange of ambassadors, and whether to go ahead with a settlement in the Gaza Strip if it proves impossible to move ahead on the West Bank because the Palestinians won't participate. The fourth question is the role the Egyptians would play in dealing with the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Again, the United States has presented new language to deal with these issues, and the Israeli cabinet is meeting tonight to decide whether to accept it. If they do accept it, President Carter may extend his stay in Israel in hopes of wrapping things up. But if they don't, the president will go home tomorrow, his mission here a failure. John Dancy, NBC News, with President Carter in Jerusalem.
And as we said moments ago, the Israeli cabinet just finished their meeting that lasted into dawn early Monday morning, Israel time, and the meeting lasted over 6 hours. They still don't have any definitive word as to exactly what they decided. Meanwhile, Palestinians on Israel's West Bank are reportedly unhappy with the Carter visit. They fear that the Mideast peace treaty would leave them out in the cold. NBC's Rick Davis has more on that aspect.
Palestinian students demonstrated against the Carter visit. An event Israeli military authorities in the West Bank apparently did not want filmed by Western newsmen. Cameramen who ventured any closer to the protest than this were threatened by soldiers. One newsman was arrested. Identity checks are part of the daily life here for the Arabs. Cars driven by non-Arabs sail through with few questions asked. Not far away is the home of Palestinian activist Ramanda Tawil. For 4 months, authorities kept her under house arrest here. She spent 2 months in prison, she claims, as punishment for her contacts with Western journalists. She says the peace plan really means continued Israeli occupation of Arab lands.
Because we Palestinians, we believe Carter is coming only to make a sellout with Egypt, Israel, and that's all. And he's forgetting, that the main important problem is the Palestinian question. And if the Palestinian question is not solved, there is not going to be peace in this area.
Meanwhile, the mood in Cairo today could be described truthfully as pessimistic tonight. President Anwar Sadat remained in seclusion all day long, and NBC's David Barrington reports that President Carter is not expected to return.
Cairo's morning newspapers, now on the presses, are gloomy about the chances of a breakthrough in Jerusalem. Essential obstacles remain, one paper reports, though early editions are short on hard facts. Another paper today reported the oil issue is still a key sticking point. Israel wants a guarantee Egypt will sell it oil from fields under the Suez Gulf and from Sinai fields that Israel must give up. But Egypt wants to hold off discussions until after relations are normalized, though Mr. Sadat insists he is prepared to sell the Israelis oil. The president himself had no comment today. Officials at his downtown residence said he was resting. There were no indications he expected President Carter to return. American flags were unceremoniously stripped from city streets.
There are more problems tonight for Billy Carter. Today's edition of the Washington Post carried a story that quotes a South Georgia man as saying that he misled the National Bank of Georgia on orders from the president's brother Billy about the amount of peanuts used as collateral for loans that eventually totaled $6.5 million. The loans were later repaid by Mr. Burt Lance in 1975 and 1976. At that time, you might recall, Lance was the director of that bank. Well, today, Kansas Senator Robert Dole, who is sounding out a possible presidential bid, has called for a special prosecutor to look into the entire affair. Meanwhile, the Justice Department said last week that they have been looking into the tangled Carter warehouse finances and that the idea of a special prosecutor is being considered. Senator George McGovern is calling on President Carter to fire James Schlesinger, the Energy Secretary, saying that Mr. Schlesinger's policies are a disaster and has enriched the oil companies in this country. McGovern, appearing on the CBS program Face the Nation today, charged that Schlesinger has increased U.S. dependence on oil, deliberately caused oil prices to rise, delayed the development of coal, and has offended the country of Mexico. Roy Wilkins, the national head of the NAACP, is reported to be in satisfactory condition today following an apparent heart attack. 77-year-old Wilkins collapsed yesterday while walking down a New York street. Coming up in just a moment, our medical reporter, Dr. Michael Breen, will look into some of the medical aspects of spiritual faith healing when News Center 11 continues.
If you want good gas mileage and good looks in your next car, this message is for you. Tomorrow, our thrifty threesome are on sale at Ralph Thomas's Polar Chevrolet. Number 1, sporty, good-looking Monza's just $42.88. Number 2, Chevette, the most economical car built in America, only $38.88. And last, 6-cylinder pickups, only $42.88. It's a thrifty threesome sale with Chevettes as low as $38.88. Tomorrow at Ralph Thomas's Polar Chevrolet. 3 days only. Don't miss it.
Take 3. 3 tablets? No, Anacin 3. Its pain reliever gives the most effective headache relief you can buy without aspirin.
Right. 2 regular headache tablets have 650 milligrams of pain reliever. But Anacin 3 has much more, 1,000 milligrams per dose. Yet it's 100% aspirin-free. So when you've got a headache...
Take 3.
Anacin 3. The most effective headache relief you can buy without aspirin.
We're Northerners. We're not afraid to get our hands dirty. Out here in Colorado, we're tapping new reserves of coal to help this country take care of its energy needs.
We're working in coal, natural gas, liquid fuels, petrochemicals, and exploration. We're the Northerners. Energy is our business, and we're good at it.
A survey just out today says that there were 27,000 cases of battered women in Minnesota last year. Most of the women involved were under 34 years of age, and most of the assailants were husbands, ex-husbands, or boyfriends. Residents of the city of Stillwater who remember Joseph Carroll will be saddened to know that Mr. Carroll died today. However, he lived to a ripe old age. He was 105. The well-known figure known as Papa Joe moved to Stillwater back in 1902 from Quebec and retired as a railroad telegrapher in 1948. He'll be sadly missed. A panel of nutrition experts want the Food and Drug Administration to crack down on vitamins sold for therapeutic reasons only. The panel also said that the government should forbid the sale of vitamin E and that all vitamins sold as non-prescription drugs should be labeled for use only when vitamin therapy is ordered by a doctor. Speaking of medical things, there's a medical clinic in Minnehaha Falls that offers a physical examination, a psychological interview, and a prayer all at the same time. Dr. Michael Breen has this report.
For medical help, visit a doctor. For spiritual help, visit a priest, right? Well, listen to physician Robert Struve just after examining a patient.
Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. We ask that we ask for your gift of listening, and we ask that we'll be part of an accepting atmosphere for this person who's come to the clinic for medical care. In your name we pray. Amen.
Struve's clinic is located in the Trinity Lutheran Church in Minnehaha Falls. Besides a prayer, each new patient gets a complete medical exam and psychological help if requested. But most patients come for something more.
I'm not a hand, I'm not a foot, I'm a person, and part of being a person is spiritual, emotional, and physical. And because I don't want it separated out, I don't want anybody else to separate it out when I need some help.
Struve says his clinic is available to people of all faiths. But if a woman wanted birth control or an abortion, would Struve help her? He says he would.
One of the big issues, I think, in whole person health care is allowing people personal responsibility for their own health care. And we aren't gods, and we aren't God.
Struve says the clinic is growing rapidly. The reason, he says, is people are starting to realize physical health and total health aren't necessarily the same thing. This is Dr. Michael Breen, News Center 11.
As you probably know, the start of the tornado season is only a couple of months away. Surprisingly, Mississippi has had more tornado deaths than any other state in the Midwest Tornado Alley. NBC's Gary Whitaker has more on that story.
Since tornado statistics have been kept in Mississippi, dating back to 1916, there have been 1,124 people killed by tornadoes in the state, more than any other place. 1978 was considered a light year. Mississippi ranked 25th in the number of tornadoes, but 5 people lost their lives, making it the #3 state in terms of death. Since the spring is the peak tornado season in Mississippi, this has been declared Tornado Awareness Week by the governor. And National Weather Service employees are making an all-out effort to improve citizen awareness of why the Mississippi tornado is deadlier than the Kansas tornado.
Their tornadoes are usually visible from a long way off. They may be big ones, but you can see, you know, all the pictures that you see of the typical Midwest tornado is a nice clear horizon with a single tornado hanging down from the cloud. As you know, around here in Mississippi, we have a lot of cloudiness. We have a lot of moisture coming up from the Gulf of Mexico, which produces clouds and rain. Both of these obscure our tornadoes, and it makes it not only harder to detect on radar, but it's a lot harder for an average person out walking around to see a tornado here than it is in the Midwest.
I'll tell you, those things are frightening even to see on film or tape, and I imagine to see one in the flesh is something that will chill your blood. We have a man here who knows about tornadoes and the weather. Mr. Keith Eichner, what causes a tornado?
Well, we could get into a long dissertation about that. I'll tell you what, some night I will give you a diagram of how tornadoes form. We're a little bit short on time, but we'll tell you right now that the weather is going to be very pleasant the next 24 hours, and I'll have more details on that as News Center 11 continues.
What does America say when they taste Chef Boyardee's new spaghetti sauce?
Cheese! Cheese!
Introducing new Chef Boyardee spaghetti sauce flavored with cheese. A great tasting blend of grated cheeses and our authentic Italian-style spaghetti sauce, rich and thick with tomatoes. For delicious Italian flavor and aroma you'll enjoy, try the spaghetti sauce that's making America say, cheese! New spaghetti sauce flavored with cheese from Chef Boyardee.
Today, National Car Rental is one of the big 3 car rental companies. But getting there wasn't easy. Most of our customers came from the other guys. Why? Maybe it's the top condition of our cars. Maybe it's our terrific counter people.
Your car's ready, sir.
Thank you.
The other guys tell you how good they are. But if they're so good, how did we get so big? National Car Rental. Maybe we're better.
It was a beautiful day in the Twin Cities today. Nice, warm temperatures. Is it going to continue?
Yes, it will, Stan. We have no complaints about the weather after the brutal cold of yesterday. Temperatures moderated fairly rapidly today, and right now, at 10 o'clock, the temperatures are 20 degrees warmer. We're actually make that 20 degrees warmer than they were last night at this hour. Right now, at 10 o'clock in the Twin Cities, the temperature right now is at 26 degrees. The humidity still holding in there at about 57%. Barometer is rising from 30.14 inches, and the winds are westerly at 5 miles per hour. A rather tranquil scene all across the United States tonight. Generally everywhere, no severe weather anywhere, and conditions are fairly dry. The eastern seaboard is still drying out from the rains that they had during last night. The cold front is now well off the Atlantic coast, but now the cold air that we had yesterday and last night is now moving into their direction, and the coldest core of that air is now across upstate New York, and in conjunction with that, severe snow showers are now breaking out across the lee of the Great Lakes. Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo, all 3 stations reporting heavy snow at this hour as cold air comes in off the Great Lakes, and that's causing the snow showers to break out. Meanwhile, in our part of the country, high pressure building in from Lake Winnipeg will continue to build southeastward. This will enable us to enjoy the fair weather right through tomorrow. Temperatures will be dropping back tonight under clear skies into the teens in most sections, but tomorrow skies will remain sunny, and that will cause temperatures to rise into the middle to upper 30s in almost all sections. you're looking outside today at the snow, you can see that it looks like a Christmas scene, and it hasn't changed that much since Christmas around here. Temperatures have been remaining very, very cold, but now as the sun gets stronger and higher in the sky, temperatures are rising above freezing, and I suspect that all this snow is gradually going to be melting away in the next couple of weeks. We certainly hope so. Checking the state map as of 10 o'clock tonight, everywhere skies are crystal clear. Temperatures are ranging from 13 degrees up in Thief River Falls, 14 in International Falls, 26 here in the Twin Cities, 21 in St. Cloud, and 18 degrees in Rochester, Minnesota. Everywhere skies are clear, and that's going to be pretty much the picture right through tonight. Let's look at the satellite picture. It's a rather interesting mosaic that we have tonight. We talked about a cold front a minute ago. It was off the east coast, and here it is. If you look way down here, look at this. This is the cold front. It's very, very vivid on the infrared satellite picture that we received about an hour ago. This is the front that caused all the bad weather across the eastern seaboard. That's clearing out. Meanwhile, off to our west, as you can see, Minnesota, generally speaking, is clear. Some clouds way up here, but not really to get too concerned about. And a look at Storm Surge radar, again, shows nothing in the way of any precipitation echoes at all. So we can expect generally dry weather right throughout the period, which gets us to the forecast. And for tonight, we're indicating clear skies. With radiational cooling, though, temperatures are going to be dropping back to between 10 in some of those outlying suburbs, upper teens here in the cities. And then for tomorrow, there we are, mainly sunny, highs in the mid-20s, and the outlook for Tuesday is, again, mostly sunny conditions, partly cloudy, temperatures between 35 and 40 degrees, Stan.
And it's warming up, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Spring is just around the corner. Also, something else is warming up is the baseball season down in Florida.
Sure is. Not warming up too much for the Minnesota Twins, though. They haven't won a game in spring yet. We'll talk about that. More importantly, Minnesota Gopher hockey highlights when News Center 11 continues.
Find that Freeway Ford sign at the 98th Street exit of 35W, and you'll also find way too many LTDs. These are brand new Restyle 79 LTDs, and now through March 19th, you can pick up your choice for just $1 over Freeway Ford's dealer cost. What a super LTD sale. So come into Freeway Ford. Pick out your LTD and show Freeway Ford your dollar. LTD's $1 over dealer cost through March 19th, only at Freeway Ford.
The big events in your life are just time away. So put time on your side with one of the First Bank's high-interest savings programs to help you save for the things you really want. First Bank savings certificates mature in as little as 3 months' time, and our investor certificates pay top interest in just 26 weeks. Start a First Bank guaranteed interest savings program now, and your hopes and dreams are just time away.
Chapstick has changed her name.
Call me Susie Chapstick.
Hey, Susie Chapstick.
This is real chapstick weather, so Chapstick is the only name for me.
Chapstick lip balm helps keep wind and cold away from your lips.
Susie Chapstick!
Keeps the natural moisture in. Helps heal chapped lips, too.
So when it's chapstick weather, just remember me, Susie Chapstick.
If you only buy a new car every 3 or 4 years, why not make it special? If you feel that way, there's one place to be tomorrow. Your surprising Twin Cities Buick dealers are having a sale on one of America's most popular and hard-to-find cars, Buick LeSabre. If you're going to spend between $6,000 and $7,000 for your next car, why not the perfect family-size car, Buick LeSabre? A sale on Buick LeSabre tomorrow at your surprising Twin Cities Buick dealer. Buick LeSabre for not much more than $6,000. Really, don't miss it.
Okay, let's check in now with Steve Pacini for sports.
Very important tonight. The Minnesota Gophers playing another WCHA playoff round, and the Gophers winning 6-3 over UMD. Let's take a look at highlights. Of course, the Gophers now move on to another game that could get them into the NCAAs. Neil Broughton skating down, right off the top. And we're going to see Bart Larson knocking it in, and the Gophers go ahead early. As a matter of fact, they go ahead 3-1 early. A breakaway now. Steve Alseth all by his lonesome. He fakes, he dekes, he puts it in, backhand, 2-0 Gophers. Gophers' third goal comes up a couple of minutes later. Freshman Neil Broughton doing it as he's done all year. And it's 3-1 there. Final score 6-3. Gophers winning over UMD. If everything goes as planned, the Minnesota Gophers will play for an NCAA berth against Bowling Green next Sunday at Williams. The North Stars not having such luck in their quest for a playoff spot. In St. Louis today, Stars really taking a beating. 8-2. Former star Bob Murdoch starting an early assault on Gary Edwards, putting in his first of 2 goals. And a fouled-up Minnesota clearing pass intercepted, and the Blues' Wayne Babbage is there for a goal. He got 2 today also. Stars, though, did hold their own in the first period. Tim Young's drive deflected by Chris Beneri, and then Bobby Smith, pretty puck handling. Al McAdam getting the goal around the net. 3-2. North Stars hold in the first, but then the roof caves in. Gary Younger getting his first of 2. The North Stars losing to the St. Louis Blues 8-2. The North Stars going to have to regroup now. Their next task, if they're up to it, the Montreal Canadiens. Habs are in town Wednesday night. Let's take a look at the NHL scoreboard tonight. Toronto helping out the North Stars, beating Pittsburgh 4-0. Buffalo 9, Atlanta 4, Detroit, Washington a 3-3 tie. Other scores, the Islanders and Boston tied. Rangers did it to Chicago, Philly over Los Angeles. If you're one of those college fans, put his money on what the Las Vegas odds were telling you. Well, you're a little bit poor tonight. Favorites North Carolina and Duke losing today in the NCAA playoffs. Penn coming from nowhere, defeating North Carolina on the play of this man, Tony Price. Price very hot on the offense today. He puts in there 2. He had 25 for the Quakers in all. A 3-point play puts Penn up by 5. A lead never lost. North Carolina could have tied it. Coming up, Dave Colescott misses a shot, and guess who gets the rebound? Mr. Tony Price starting a fast break. Penn going on to win 72-71. St. John's upset last year's runner-up Duke. A last-second basket winning it for St. John's 80-78 as we take a look at other scores. Irish not much trouble with Tennessee. At the end, they win by 6. UCLA beats Pepperdine. Nothing scares the Michigan State Spartans, though. They come out on top. No upsets today. Big Ten champs Michigan State rolling over Lamar 95-64, leading the Spartans, the dynamic duo. Greg Kelser with 31 points, and that pass from Mr. Magic Irvin Johnson, leading Michigan State. That's how it's done. Undefeated Indiana State as we look at other scores. Winning over Virginia Tech. Larry Bird getting 22 points. Arkansas whipped Weber State. And my sentimental favorite, DePaul, winning tonight over USC by 10 points. Quickly, we run down some of the other sports. The Twins did lose today 2-0 in Lakeland, Florida. And Larry Nelson won by 3 strokes. The Inverary Classic down in Florida also in the golf. And Nancy Lopez finally won a golf tournament back again in Los Angeles. She won on a birdie putt the last hole.
It's been a long time. We're out of time. I wish we had more time to talk about sports. That's the 10 o'clock edition of News Center 11 for this Sunday night. Be sure and join Jim Dyer and his team tomorrow night at 6 and 10. And we'll be back, of course, Saturday night at 6 o'clock. Until then, for all of us here at News Center 11, I'm Stan Borman. Thanks for watching, and good night, everybody.
Kaplan is an unlikely coach.
I got the job.
With an unheard-of salary.
$60 for every game you win.
An unruly team.
You don't look like no basketball coach to me.
And unquestioned loyalty.
So, Mrs. Green, what do you think of your boy?
I think he's crazy.
But under...